Becky, we've got a question that's come in from our good friend Kathy Furlong over in Grosse Pointe. Let's hear it.
Hi, Becky and Brian. Thanks for taking my question. I'm Kathy Furlong from Keller Williams, Lakeside, and Shelby Township. And of course, I'm asking this for a friend. Can you clarify for us when we're supposed to use agency disclosure form, who receives it, and when they receive it? Thanks.
Kathy, that is a good question. I'm going to turn it over to Becky Burke for a little bit of analysis on that one.
Yeah, sure thing. Or I guess we should say Kathy's friend.
We ought to.
That is a great question. So here's the gist of when you need to use the agency disclosure form and who should receive it. So in a nutshell, Michigan law says that a real estate licensee must provide that agency disclosure form to a buyer or seller prior to the disclosure of confidential information. So that means that you are providing them the form before they reveal any confidential information. And this is not limited to just, your clients that you're working with. This also applies to buyers or sellers who you are just interacting directly with. So, for example, let's say that you are a buyer agent and your buyer client becomes interested in a for sale by owner property. If you approach that FSBO seller, either to ask questions about the property or just, to present an offer on behalf of your buyer client, you should absolutely provide that FSBO seller with an agency disclosure form that discloses your agency status as the buyer's agent. So, a really important use of the form is, of course, letting someone know that you do represent them, but also letting a buyer or seller know that you do not represent them. One other note here, and this is something that we mentioned just because it comes up on the Michigan Realtors legal hotline quite a bit, is that if a buyer or seller never discloses confidential information to you, then the statute wouldn't have been violated if you never provide them with a form. But, and Brian, I've heard you say this 100 times, if we're talking about real life scenarios, it's not very likely that you're going to get very far working with a buyer or seller without them disclosing something that is confidential. So the best practice here is just to provide them with the form as early as possible. It's a good protection for the brokerage, for yourself, because you never know when they are actually going to reveal that confidential information.
Absolutely. And as Gail Anderson always says, you cannot unring that bell. And we also like to really bring home the point that using that form, the Form K is what we call it, is also not only just a shield for the brokerage, but also a teachable tool to explain to customers and clients alike exactly the capacities in which you can operate as a real estate licensee. So I think it's important to understand exactly what's in that form, but also how you can utilize it to interact with clients.